Welcome to Conversations with Malik podcast, coming to you from Long Island, New York. I'm glad to have you and thank you all who are listening and watching this show. This podcast is about the stories of transformation of regular people during the basic struggle and pain of life. Everybody has a testimony. We all have survived the darkness. But let's talk about how we got to the light so we can help our brothers and sisters who still haven't overcome their demons. But guess what? We all have devils on different levels. So through conversations, we use the tools of insight to light the path of hope. Let's have a chat and stop running from our issues. If we live through it, then talking about it probably won't kill us. And that's what we do here. We're talking, we're crying, we're laughing, we're joking. But we're looking inward so we can grow outward is the theme of the show. The caterpillar transforming into the butterfly is the goal and purpose of this podcast. When you talk about you, I learn about me. Iron sharpens iron and steel sharpens steel. So we can cut through the fog of despair into the hope of today. And listen, before we start today's show, please don't forget to follow us at convoswithmalik.com, convoswithmalik.com, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, the YouTube page. We're getting some traction on YouTube. And please subscribe, like us, share us, give us some comments and some reviews if you're on Apple, iTunes. And I'd like to thank everybody who makes the show possible. Kareem the Dream Raheem for the audio engineering work that he does, keeping us sounding official. Justin Ma, social media manager. My co-host with the most, who's not here today. Jeff Joes, Mona Tish, Dawn Michelle, Yvonne Diva Daz, Hannah Glinsky, everybody, all the publicists who sends over guests to the show. I really appreciate it. Sharon, I didn't forget you too, Sharon. Everybody that sends over their guests and their clients to the show, I really appreciate it. I don't take you for granted. Yeah, and also everybody over at AC for Inmates. Listen, I appreciate you guys. Another Chance Media, thank you for everything. And listen, I'm always blessed and honored to have a guest. It don't have to be this way. I could be sitting here by myself, which would be kind of cool. People do podcasts and stuff by themselves. There's some very successful shows out there, But, this is kind of dope because I get to meet people. I get to meet different people. I get to have a lot of wonderful experiences. And it's funny because I learn a lot about myself through talking to others. Mm-hmm. It's just a strange dynamic how that happens, listening to other people's stories. And I'm here. Listen, I'm here with the singer. My man was on The Voice. He's been doing his thing. We're gonna talk about his story. And I'm here with Chris Weaver. Listen, I'm the only one clap. Usually it's a couple of us in here clapping, so I'm trying to make it sound louder than it is, But listen, how you doing, Chris?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for coming.
Yeah,
listen, and the trek, it's like the Amazon rainforest out there.
I was not expecting this rain today. But I literally am from a town over, so it's like it's good to come home.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So you was just circumnavigating back to your stomping ground.
Right.
Gotcha. And this rain. Listen, God, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the rain. I'm grateful to the universe for supplying rain. But this is supposed to be happening in April. Isn't June supposed to be hot?
It is. This whole year has been just
been off.
Well,
yeah, because the winter wasn't that bad.
We didn't have a winter.
We didn't have a winter. But we had one snow.
I think we had one major snow. So I don't even look at my weather on my apps anymore. I just go. I just go.
Just do the hourly joint to know what's gonna happen in the next hour.
I can't. You never know what it's gonna be, and
just whatever.
Just whatever it is.
Keep an umbrella nearby. Keep a jacket nearby.
Right. I honestly, I got ready today, and I'm like, what is that sound? I was not expecting.
Right. And it came down like. It
wasn't a drizzle. It just started. It was just pouring rain.
Listen. So Chris, man, you've done some wonderful things so far. Yvonne sent you over, so I know you got to be a good guy. So yourself and what it is that you currently do.
Yeah, so my name is Chris Weaver. I am a singer and a performer and an entertainer, and I mean that's what I'm currently doing now.
Right.
Yeah, I am a small percentage of people who are actually doing what they wanted to do in life, and so I'm so grateful for that.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually had to stop and think about that the other day. I was like, you're living in New York City, and you're living and doing what you want to do, what you've always dreamed of doing. And I mean, of course, we're on a smaller scale right now, trying to get, but I'm here,
Right.
and doing that. So, yeah. So.
Wow. So the ability to perform, to bring joy and laughter and happiness and good feelings to others. What does that do for you as an entertainer?
It fulfills me. I told somebody, I said, if I don't ever get rich off of this, if I never get a record deal, if I could just travel the world or even just the country and just sing to people, every night, because I think when you really get into music and you really understand your calling in music or what's your gift, the gift that you have, I think you really understand the power that music really has to change the minds of people, to change the feelings of people. With one song, like you can change somebody's whole attitude with one song, and it amazes me.
And you can watch it happen in the audience. Do you really notice? The mood shifts and changes of people in the audience?
Oh yeah, you definitely do. You do because they make it known to you, after a show, or
whether they approved or disapproved.
Right. I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so that's definitely.
Yeah.
And you can see someone who's maybe coming late to a show, and they're not in the best mood, and you get into the show and you sing a song that reminds them of, you sing an old school song that reminds them of, and you just see their whole atmosphere and their attitude shift. And it's one of the most rewarding things, and it's one of the most, I'm so grateful to be able to be in a position to do something like that, to really change the hearts and the minds of people.
That's ministry.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's deep.
That's exactly what it is,
and because they're really coming, because a lot of people, I think sometimes we take for granted. Me and my wife and my family, we do a New Year's Eve party in Queens every year. This brother came to me. He said, "This is the first time me and my wife's been out all year. Thank you, man." Now, Chris, you know how it is when you throw a party. Mm-hmm. You're doing stuff. Everybody's asking you questions. You're getting dumb questions. Where's the spoons? Shit like that. See the spoons over there? What are you asking me? But so I'm caught in my own world and trying to do all of this and be all things. But then the brother said that to me.
That's the last thing on your mind. That is the last thing on your mind.
And he was like serious. He's like, my work hours, I started a new job and I'm at night. And so we seen each other in passing, but we're trying to get enough for our retirement. And yo, man, and we had this in mind. We had this booked. Yo, bro, I hadn't even
Yeah.
Now, that's not even being but I guess I kind of entertained them for the night by throwing the party, in a sense.
Because this is not a part of their normal routine. So when they can step out and come into an atmosphere that really just lets them be free and lets them really be in full expression of them, then and you really don't realize how much it affects people. So and it's hard. And believe me, it's so hard when they say, especially in the city, when you're walking down the street and people are just stopping in front of you or people bump into you and you really want to go off. And although that's not the first thing that comes to my mind to think, what has this person been through today? That's not the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, right,
but if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah, people going through some stuff, man.
If you really stop and think about it, it really how many minds can you change? How many folks can you really just, who's ready to give up just in that moment? I was on the train one time and it was packed and this lady was standing there and she didn't want to sit down, but so I said, well, just put your book bag in my lap then.
Right.
You know, she's carrying this heavy bag.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could tell she was just like, didn't expect that.
That's heavy.
So I've now changed this woman's day just because I said, sit your book bag in my lap.
Kind word.
Yeah.
So you have the ability to perform in front of people. I seen you on your EPK, and one you're in drag, the other you're dressed. How you is that you did that to show the different expressions of Chris?
So yeah, my drag persona is Nidra Bell.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for 7 years, and so when I did it just because, you know, with these shows, honestly, with these reality shows, you go and you realize after so many seasons you need a story, you know, and I had auditioned for The Voice twice. I did the public calls, and then I got a private audition, and so I remember going. They go, "We're gonna move you on to interviews," and the girl goes, "Well, I'm gonna be behind the screen. You just tell us, you know, what do you do?" And so I go, "Well, I'm a worship leader. I was working in the church at the time. I said, I'm a worship leader and a drag queen." I remember her popping her head from the box and stuff. I'm sorry, what? You know, and so you do this month, you know, after they choose you and stuff, this happens almost half of a year before you ever go on TV. And you think, oh my gosh, like this is going to air, and I just told the world, what? You know? And so honestly, I did it though because I had grown up in church all my life, and I went to college in Iowa, and then I worked at a mega church out there, and there was a situation that came up, and I was finally at a place in my life where I was like, I'm done being fake for people. I'm done living for anybody else. I'm gonna live for me, and I finally came to full expression of, you know, who I was, and so I thought, you know, I was like, this is what I do, you know, and that has even proven to be a great experience, but that process up to leading up to it, I was like, oh gosh, what, you know, you never know what's gonna happen. But it's been great.
So let's talk. Let's go back and talk about the process. Let's talk about your initial love of music, but then your experience with coming to terms with who you are and your personalities. When did you know that you loved music, but that you were also good at it?
I was 8 years old, and I had this. But before that, so I would sing growing up in church, and I watch videos and I go, who let this happen? Like, y'all should have said, listen, maybe the usher boy, maybe the welcome ministry. Who is letting this happen? You know, don't sing at family reunions. Stop this. But I was 8 years old, and I remember one Sunday they called me up to sing, and I sang "Precious Lord, Take My Hand." And afterwards, you know, people were like clapping, and I'm standing there and I go, oh, okay. So, you know, and I thought, well, maybe we got something here. And then my pastor would go out to preach, and I'd start going with him to sing places, and then I'd be on the choirs in church, and you know, I went to a small church in Westbury, Long Island, and so, you know, my friend goes, I came to your church. They go, you do everything. You're the drummer, the worship leader, the usher, you know. So, and so that became my really love for music. Plus, I was in school and always involved in chorus, and so it really was just initially just from that moment. It was like, wow, I love this. I love this. This is what and so it became my life. Music became my life. My friends used to get so mad because they go, you so churchy, number one. and you make a song, you can make anything into a church song. I think it was singing about like some hair dryer. You just made it real churchy, But everything, I could turn everything into a song.
Churchy.
But music was just it's what I love to do. And so my mother was a preacher, and
my mother too.
And my dad stayed home on Sundays. Okay. And the rare Sundays that I did get to stay home with my dad, he would always put on. So I'm in church, but on Sundays when I stay home with my dad, he put on the Soul Train and the 25th anniversary, 4 discs, and then all the Anita Baker and Luther Vandross. And so I was honestly getting schooled in the best of that as well. And so that's really where my love for music came from.
Right. And then you begin to see how, you singing changed people and inspired people and made them feel better. And I heard for entertainers, it's like the ultimate high, it's the ultimate addiction. Nothing trumps that.
Yeah. And you see it happen. And I'll tell you, because you see it happen. And so all through high school, I'm singing. I remember I dropped out of choir in high school, my junior year, and I was miserable.
Wow.
I was miserable, and I went back in my senior year and I said, please.
Yeah.
Please.
I need my fix.
Yeah, and so thank God, he granted me a favor and let me back in. But I remember when I got to college, I went to Central College in Iowa.
Iowa, every time you say that, I'm like, hell, you go from, out here to Iowa.
I was one of, I think when I came in freshman year, I was one of 7 African American kids.
Iowa.
Yeah. And so I went out there, and I remember I wrote us. We were in a.
What's it like in Iowa? Before we get to you,
it's white. No,
it's white. Yeah, no, that's real. It's white.
It's white. It's white. It's Des Moines has some black people, and listen. I always contemplate it because cost of living out there. You can buy a nice house and live comfortably.
Gotcha. Take the money you make from here and buy a big ass house.
Live like a build king. Your own.
Right.
So gotcha. And but I loved it for the time I was there.
Okay.
But when it was time to go, it was time to go.
Right. Okay, so let's get back to.
So I got to college and I was in the vocal jazz combos and Sonny Cutler was the piano player. This white kid from this small town, Iowa, and we wrote a song together called "Hold Me Now," and it was like "Hold me now through my storm and my rain, hold me now through my sickness and my pain." And I remember I sang the concert, and this was the first song we had ever written together, like maybe the second song I ever wrote in my life. And I remember a line of people after the show, like tears in their eyes.
Wow.
And we're just like, you don't know what I'm going through right now and what that song did for me. Now that was the moment that I said, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. There's no option, failure is not an option.
Yeah, because you're like, singers and entertainers are really like doctors. Like, it's as much medical healing as when they talk about how, the neurons and electrons in somebody's body when they're singing a song that they like and the happiness, that's healing.
Yeah.
That's some powerful stuff, man. And so you come from college and you said you had some experiences where you were like, listen, you don't got to give me your deep, dark secrets, but be a little transparent. What was those experiences like that made you go, okay, this is who I am and this is what I do?
There was the whole church. I was working so after I graduated college, I moved to Des Moines, and I was working, and I started doing an internship. There's a weekly newspaper that comes out, and they spotlight just somebody in the community every time it comes out.
Gotcha.
So John Cheatham, who was actually John Merrill, who was on my season of The Voice, was the artist who they spotlighted. So I found him and I messaged him and I said, hey, I just moved here, I want to sing. So he got me connected with Lutheran Church of Hope out there. And so long story short, I started interning with them, and then I came on part-time, and then I came on full-time. At the same time, we used to go out to the bars on Friday night, and I met this couple, and they were like, hey, you should come to the gay bar with us. And I was just like, all right, you know. So started going to the bars and started talking to people and really connected and started making, building a family there. And so I was like, oh boy, like, you know, so here I am.
Now my lifestyle's a little more public because I'm going to public places. Right. And before I was just kind of, yeah.
Right, because you go to the mall, you realize you're working at a church of 13,000 people. You go to the mall and I'm like, why are they staring at me? And then you realize you work at a church of 13,000 people. And so, you know, and then, of course, I was the only black worship leader who, you know, with this soulful gospel voice. So, I mean, in the Lutheran church, that's going to be a, you know, so.
Blasphemy.
No, they loved it.
Oh, really?
They loved it. Except they used to get John and I mixed up. And I said, well, no, John's more like, and he's a lot shorter than me. I mean, you know, and so you're in this, and I never thought of it as living a double life. I never thought of it as that.
Okay.
Because I had came to a place, and I remember sitting in the back of the car with one of my coworkers at the church, and I said, let me tell you something, Kim. I said, you mean to tell me God, who knew about me long before I was born, right. He knew who I was. He knew, like, I said, and you think he would, I said, he still continues to bless me. There's never been a time when, I mean, God has taken me through some things, and he, you know,
no doubt.
And so I came, so I came to a place, and so I never thought of it as that. Actually, when it was found out, I had to talk with my supervisor, and I had decided, okay, well, it's time to go anyway, because I felt this need to move on.
Yeah.
Which later, a couple of years later, the pastor called me because he thought it was just a whole misunderstanding. They got cleared up, and it ended up being a great teaching moment.
Yeah.
So so here I am now,
and pride is everywhere. I mean, every store I go into, I'm like Jesus Christ. You know, I get it. Okay, I never really cared anyway.
Yeah.
Why? You know, can I just shop right here? You know, and listen. I'm like, yo, okay. You know, I get it because I never really cared anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I always, first of all, I grew up and I growing up, I did so many things that I shouldn't have done. I'm the last to judge. I'm a street dude from the streets of South Jamaica, Queens, man. And, look, so I did stuff that people still haven't forgiven me for.
Mm-hmm.
I done made all the mistakes in life. I done made all of the bad decisions. So I'm the last to, God would be like, nigga, you somebody? Like, you know what I had to go, how much grace I had to use just to keep you here. So but yeah, and we're living in a day and time where not only freedom of expression of, one's sexuality, but freedom of expression of who, I think there's people who don't even have sexuality issues that just don't feel free to express themselves. Period.
That's it.
To me, everybody wants to, people would, they're free to express themselves sexually. And I say, yeah, but to me, that's the tip of the iceberg. I know people who are, just straight, but don't want to express themselves. In whatever it is, whether they think they're an artist, or whether they think they can sing,
mm-hmm.
or whether I know people who are in prison. I got family members that are in prison and it ain't got nothing to do with sexuality.
Nope.
It's just, I don't feel like I'm worthy enough, or I don't feel like I measure up, so that I hide and I introvert and so maybe the lesson from the gay community to the world is to be who you are and express yourself, period.
Yeah.
Be who you were put here to be. Take a shot at it. Look, I'm doing this podcast. I'm taking a shot at it, man. And you know what? I'm already successful. Why? Because I'm sitting here talking to you. See, if my idea of success is that I gotta be like Ayanna Van Zandt or Oprah, I'm never gonna.
Right, because that was for them. That was for them.
Everybody, see, that's the problem. The problem is everybody feels like they have to be a superstar. Or they get an image and they gotta be like that. And nobody, this is why I'm saying it's beyond the whole gay. Nobody wants to be themselves, period. Everybody want to be Jay-Z, Beyonce, or this or that. Yo, be you.
And because my thing was in a different sense. I thought when I came to New York, I found this karaoke spot where all these. I literally got there and I go, what? Who's singing like this at karaoke's? I was like, you people are phenomenal. Like, I don't understand. And
amazing people.
Amazing. And so then I got up there and they're like, who are you? You know, and
Yeah.
and so somebody goes, I've seen you progress further in 5 months than I've seen people do in 5 years in the city. But my thing was, in talking about expressing yourself, I've always thought, oh, I didn't go through what that person went through. I don't know if this is my time. I don't know if this is my, because I didn't do that, or I didn't, you know, and until I finally had to come to a place where I go, no, this is your time, because that's not my story, that's not my path, that's not my destiny, and that doesn't make my story any less insignificant than that person, and that was a big struggle for me. The thing I didn't go through enough.
Yo, my co-host said that one day. He said, yo, you know, Malik, I ain't been through what you've been through. You know, my life wasn't that hard. I said, hold on, dog. I said, dog, now what you went through was hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what I went through was, I imposed it on myself. I didn't necessarily have a hard, I made life hard through the decisions I made. So, you know, everybody, you know, if the worst thing that happened to you was your dog dying, but you couldn't get out of bed for a week, that's
a part of your story. That made you, you know, it is.
That's because I don't know what that dog meant to you. That equals the person that lost their mom on Sunrise Highway in a car crash.
Right.
And that's it. I'm not being funny.
No,
I'm being...
Yes, because that is your story.
It's your story. You know, embrace who you are. Embrace your story. Don't minimize your story. Mm-hmm. Don't feel like you haven't suffered enough and that you're not. That whole thing of not being worthy, it's so tricky. There's so many spiritual deep levels, so many different, and that's why I do my spiritual talks on my on my show, where I just kick it real. But you know, there's people who are wealthy that don't feel like they're worthy. Yo, I was talking to this guy, and he inherited his father's businesses, and the businesses aren't doing as well. He's probably, for the most part, I don't want to say going to be set for life, but, you know, he's in a good place financially. And so my thing was, because I'm a businessman, my thing was, yo, well, you don't got to be your father, and you can't be. No, if the businesses don't work out, and you wind up having to sell while you can get max dollar, and you go into something else, or you go work for somebody else, it don't make you a failure. No. Yo, this whole identity crisis come in different forms, Grace.
This is true.
They come in a whole lot of forms. And here he is feeling like, well, my father worked for this, and everybody's saying I'm just a. Oh, okay, you had a father that left you.
Who left you a business? Maybe that your heart was never even in. Maybe, you know?
You don't got to feel bad about being fortunate. But so on the flip side,
maybe that's a heavy blow that I like to take on. You know?
Well, right. I wouldn't mind taking on it. But there's people who feel bad about being from Martian projects, not having enough.
Mm-hmm.
It can. So, back to you. Your experience on The Voice.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was amazing. It was great. So I was on season 13. So the season I was on, it was Jennifer Hudson, Miley Cyrus, Blake Shelton, and Adam Levine. And so I was on Team Jennifer. And
What was she like?
she was amazing. First of all, this was the first season on any reality show that you had a coach who was on the reality show.
Gotcha.
So just that itself was just like, all right,
That's dope.
this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
But she used to always said one thing she always said that really stuck with me. She said, you got to learn to sing for more than just the block you live on. And that thing, like, really, it.
Oh, that's heavy.
It really changed my whole outlook on life. Because it was great. I grew up in Long Island. I lived in Iowa, so that's I already knew how to interchange it. But I'm no longer singing in cabaret bars in New York. I'm no longer singing in a church. You're singing on the world stage. So what can I do to these millions of viewers to say, oh, I may not be your favorite, but I like the way you executed that. To the country fan, so she told us, she said, you got to learn to sing for more than just the people, the block you live on.
That applies to so many different things.
Yeah.
So, of course, you wasn't the finalist.
No.
So, what was the letdown like?
This has happened all my life. People are always like, you're gonna make it. You're gonna, I'm like, okay, like, thank you. Like, you can only hear that. I'm like, when is it gonna happen? So you get on The Voice, and now you got the other contestants say, you're gonna make it. You going, and I'm like, and like, there's some people who are confident, and I'm like, yeah, you should be. You're gonna make it to the top. And so everybody else is like, you gonna make it, and we're up there, and they call the first name, like, well, that's not my name, and so they call the last name, and I'm like, you're on national TV, on the camera, so so in that moment I go, well, what do I do now,
Yeah.
And so I went back home, and of course there's this, how did this happen? How did this happen? And then I remember I was going back to Iowa, and as soon as I landed, something in me just was like, okay, let this go, because you got to move on. You can't stay in this rut. And I was singing at the church that the pastor had reached out and now mended with, that I was singing at that weekend. And as I was in between services, I got a call from one of the producers at The Voice saying, we want you to come back for the finale and perform in drag.
Wow.
So I'm just like,
Wow.
what? And because people were like, oh, we want to see Nidra, And I'm like, well, people never going to get to see Nidra now.
Wow.
And the fact that they called, I was just like, so they sent me the outline. They send you this, what they call a treatment, show you how from what stage. I go, this will never happen. This is not going to happen. This is little time, and it looks like a lot of money. And so they said, you pick some queens that you know from the city and bring them with you to sing with you. So we get there, and immediately it's just in the rehearsals and stuff like that. And
I mean, I know this stuff is intense stuff too, man.
And mind you, we missed the flight, so we got in a day late.
Ooh,
we got in. So that night we got in, we had to do a rehearsal.
Hit right.
And and then we're filming the video for the first part of the finale, because now I'm the first contestant to ever be brought back.
Gotcha.
As a talent.
Okay.
In the history of the voice, you know, and as we're getting ready for the video shoot, one of the producers comes in and says, "Oh, just to let you know, so we talked, and Jessie J's going to be in your performance tomorrow." I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
Who's like? Yeah. You just don't. Especially, I'm trying to put makeup on for a video shoot. You don't just come in nonchalantly and just say, "By the way, Jessie J is going to be," you know. So I'm like, what? Yeah. So we shoot the video, and after we shoot the video, we go straight to a dance rehearsal. And I walk in, and there's all these dancers, and I nearly had a breakdown because I'm like, you know, you're going through this, and in the middle, and I thought, damn, this is crazy. This is for me. Yeah. And then, so after you get over that, the next thing is, this is history.
Yeah.
This is history. And so there would be, throughout those 3 days of rehearsal, there would be times when I just stop, and just tears would just come to mind, because I'm just like, because I tell people all the time, I've always imagined myself being a part of something.
Right.
But this was never the something I thought I would be a part of.
Yeah.
This was the first time that a drag performer had been on any competition like this. And it's so funny because, you know, you talk about how you change people's lives without even knowing it. So the other day we're walking down the street, I got done with the show, we're walking down the street, this guy goes, "You look so familiar." And when they say that, I go, "You know, you probably know me from Hoarders." You know? So, you know, I perform locally. Somebody goes, he was on The Voice. And the boy's just like, ghost face. And he goes, "No." He goes, "I literally was just watching top 10 performances, and yours came up." He said, like, his sincerity was just, and he goes, "What you did for our community was," and you know, and I never been so grateful in my life to know that it's still impacting people. Yeah. And it's, you know, because I'm like, listen, we about to be on season 17. I was on season 13. But to know that on stage, and the people that worked there were just like, my friend said, you saw it out there. He said, "You should have seen it back here." You know, because it was something that it was nobody done. And so to be a part of that was, it was so humbling. It was so humbling. And then you realize it's so quite a weight to carry, though. You know. But yeah, so I mean, my experience was amazing. From production to staff, like everybody was great. They took care of us. They made sure we had whatever we needed, and it was. One day I had to write an apology to my producer because we were there. So they had the minors like do their interviews. After you do your mentor sessions, you do an interview. So I guess I was supposed to go, and then they brought one of the minors in, and they brought Jennifer to do her interview. So I was sat there for 5 hours, waiting to do and I go, "This is ridiculous." And after I did it, I was so convicted when I got back to my room that I emailed my producer. I said, "Can you please tell everyone that I am so sorry?" Because I realized I could be sitting at home in New York, waiting to get a call for a gig, rather than waiting 5 hours to be recorded for national TV.
Yeah. That's just how quickly we forget the blessings.
Yeah.
You know, it's how quickly. So, what do you have coming up, and tell everybody how they can find you?
Yeah. So, actually, I'm just doing a number of World Pride is coming up next weekend.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
I can't tell you the last time I have to work this hard. You know? So, doing a couple of corporate stuff for that, and I do a drag show every Friday night.
Okay.
At 10:30 at Vodka Soda Bottoms Up in Hell's Kitchen on 46 and 8. Okay. And I'm actually getting ready to work on some music, some collaborations with some folks, and then I have I have some good friends of mine writing me some music because I realized I said to somebody, I said, I have not put out any music since the show.
Wow.
How does that work?
Wow. Wow.
You know, how does that work? So now we're, you know, it's just so fun. I'm like really getting into the what I should have been, you know, where I should have been already. Really getting into like what it's like to be an artist and to know it's not just doing interviews and you know going to appearances. It's work.
It's work.
You got. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I mean, you know, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and most of my stuff is posted on there as well.
Well, listen. Here another great episode. Chris Weaver, Conversations with Malik. You know, excellent story. We had a great conversation, by the way.
That was great.
You know what? Sometimes it's funny. It's like when nobody's here, the conversations are a little more intimate. You know what I'm saying? Great conversation. I could talk to you all night, man. I got a couple of call-ins coming up, so I got to get ready for those call-in interviews. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. You as well.
You know, thank you for traveling and coming here, and you know, thank you for talking about your story, and just thank you for your contribution. You know, to humanity and to people, and continue to serve. You know, servants, you know, live the best lives. You know, people who serve and give back and they bring and happiness to people, you know, will always be gifted and blessed. So keep it up, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
And listen, check us out, Conversations with Malik. And remember, Brother Malik loves you and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.